you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. When the Iron Lady sings, that makes it official. Welcome to the big show, as always, for 16 years. And 24 episodes, we bring you the Chris Voss Show. Thanks for always being here. But always remember, you need to share the show. You share the love. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking to her about her new book that just came out April 11th, 2025. It is entitled My Inner Heroine, Exploring Feminine Pain by Kerry Blaser. And we're going to get into it with her and some of the details on her experience of life and journey and all that good stuff, as it were. She grew up in Southern California in a single mother household. Her challenging family life left her feeling isolated. She struggled socially, so she put her energy elsewhere. At 14, she started a 6-year career at Hot Dog on a Stick until her college pursuits in Chinese and religious studies consumed her. After getting married in 1995 to an Israeli man she met in Tibet, she received a master's degree in East Asian Studies from UCSB in September 1997. That same month, she became pregnant with her first of 3 children. And in 2005, she divorced and began working at a large health insurance company and compliance department. Now she's launched her new book, and she's here to talk to us about her journey and how she found all the good stuff we're going to get into. Welcome to the show, Kerry. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am excellent. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
KerryBlaser.com. Kerry Blaser is also on Instagram, YouTube, and I'm also a Red Pill Shaman on Instagram.
Red Pill Shaman. There you go.
Yeah.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What's in My Inner Heroine?
My Inner Heroine shares how I went from my darkest moment to my highest epiphanies and all the wisdom that I gained along the way in terms of healing from my childhood trauma and becoming a healthy feminine woman as a role model for my children, my daughters, my son, and then everyone in the community.
There you go. So tell us about that journey. What was that like? This is much of a memoir from you, but also a story of your journey and how you overcame things. What was it like growing up, and what were some of the traumas that you experienced as a child?
So I was raised in an affluent town. Like, the town is 15 minutes from the Bachelor Mansion in Southern California in Malibu. Okay. Just like to give everybody a clear picture, right? You'll read about some high school experiences. It was a high school was 2,000 kids, right? So this was in 1975 when I was 5. My parents got a divorce. My mom was an alcoholic and my dad was a workaholic. They both came from traumatic childhoods. Like, my dad's parents got divorced in the 50s and then remarried. My grandma had a child at 16 that she never told was her daughter, even though she was raised by my great grandmother. And she found out that my grandma was actually her mom after my grandma died my grandma died in her 80s.
She found out after
they talked every day. She thought they were sisters. She was told, my aunt was told that my grandma was her sister and not her mom.
That's some serious betrayal, though.
When
you feel betrayed,
feminine pain, But as I put in my book, I use a lot of science to talk about my journey. And one thing I learned is that in our DNA, we have 15 to 20 generations of emotional pain stored. It's like family work. It's like, oh, I didn't resolve those wounds. Kerry, I'll handle that. It's like the family business, so to speak. And that happens for everybody. So both came from traumatic childhoods. And so they never learned how to surf the waves of life, how to go into the emotional pain and then come out of it in a healthy way. My mom used alcohol. My dad used work and, many other things.
Yeah.
So, and then my dad didn't want to pay my mom child support. And so I didn't believe that I deserved to be paid for and provided for by a man. So I went out and became a masculine woman,
Yeah.
this affluent town. Yet I had a job at Hot Dog on a Stick, which turned out to be a really good job because I was making double minimum wage by the time I graduated high school. I bought my car, and my dad paid for my tuition and rent, but then I paid for everything else in college. So I went off and went to college and met my ex-husband in Tibet. He's Israeli.
Mhm.
And he had a traumatic childhood, and that's why we attracted each other into their lives. So we
Trauma
weren't
bonding.
healed, and then we started having kids, which is how generational trauma gets passed down because of lack of awareness. Just we
Yeah.
didn't know, and our souls hadn't planned for us to heal yet. So when I was 35, I got divorced. And then on my 40, I just turned 55 this last week. On my 45th birthday, my mom passed away.
Mm.
And that was that people say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Kerry." I said, "Well, thank you for, yes, it was painful, but my mom's soul chose my birthday to show me how important I am to her." Like that is like soul communication going, "I love you. I'm choosing this day to commemorate how important you are in my life." And that was the day my intuition told me it's time to heal from your childhood trauma, and it's time to accept your psychic gifts. And so I did, and I started to learn how to go into my emotional pain and come out because I had 4 to 7 migraines per week. I was on trazodone, Clonopin, Soma, Ambien. Like I was so sensitive. I couldn't go in the sun. Like, how do I parent 3 kids like that? It was gnarly. So then 4 years go by, and my youngest daughter developed an eating disorder. And when she was 16 in 2019, she blamed me for it. And I went home, and my brain told me my kids would be better off with a dead mother than a live one. And so I took all the medications that I had, and I just refilled, and I went upstairs and I fell asleep immediately. I just let go. I was just done. I was just done. And then my older daughter, who was 18 at the time, found me the next morning and saved my life.
Well, that's
kinda
good.
Get into the book. That's kind of the beginning of the book. And then I show how I learned to surf the waves of life, how I learned how to go into my emotional pain, into that valley of darkness, and get up on the hill, and why. Do you know why we need the hills and valleys in life? Like why that happens?
Why do you think?
Okay, so I'll share a physics experiment. I very much have an engineering left brain and a highly intuitive right. All the men in my family are engineers, so I need to know how things work. Which is helpful because I want my books for men and women, and the physics is helpful. And I remind myself every time it gets hard, I'm like, oh, that physics experiment. Okay, but it's truth. Okay, so it's helpful. Okay, so you have 2 identical balls, and you have 2 tracks, and one track is slightly downhill, and the other track has hills and valleys. So that track is technically longer. Which ball reaches the finish line first?
I'm not sure. I'm bad at physics. I flunked.
Okay. It's the one with the hills and valleys because the momentum and speed the ball gets them to the next mountaintop. Like if you want to get to the top of Mount Everest, you got some serious work to do of unearthing self-belief and self-confidence and self-love and building the best body that you can with the best lung capacity and the best diet. And, you have to be at the top of your game. But you got to do a lot of work to get there. And it's the same thing with enlightenment. Like enlightenment's an emotion. And so we have to learn how to go into our unconscious beliefs, our subconscious, our wounds, and learn to navigate in the darkness and find the light, turn that wound into wisdom, and then bring it into our waking reality, into our consciousness.
There you go. And what technique did you use to do it? Was it shamanism?
So I used a lot of things. Like I use shamanism, my ability to talk to souls. So since physicists have proven that we all have energy bodies, and all of our energy bodies are our souls, communicate through our heart space, like shamans have been saying forever. I use that technique to talk to people who aren't, in my vicinity. I also use psychology, helped me a lot. Like Carl Jung helped me understand myself so much. Dr. Joe Dispenza, neuroscience is in the book. A lot that helped me tremendously as well. Dr. Gabor Mate, who is a French-Canadian family medicine practitioner. He's all over YouTube as well. But he specializes in how childhood trauma impacts adults.
Yeah.
and I have 2 fire academy instructors in my book, because I showcase in the book how after I started my healing journeys after I attempted suicide, how I attracted men into my life, and I needed them to mirror my wounds back to me so I could see myself. It's like, oh, he doesn't want to talk to me, I must do something wrong. Now, a lot of people think he doesn't want to talk to me, he's the jerk. No, he has a right to talk to whoever he wants to talk to, right? But I need to see, why isn't this man talking to me? Why is this man in argument with me? Where can I improve? Where can I do better? So that's how, I show how the men I attracted into my life, that they're a mirror for my wounds.
Sometimes they call that would you call that the same thing some people call trauma bonding, where they attract people that kind of have similar traumas?
That is okay. So psychologists have confirmed that we attract each other into our lives based on our wounds, because that's how we see ourselves and have room for improvement, right? So yes, like I would say that I had all these men that I attracted into my life were a trauma bond. Now the last one, he might be different, but I'm not sure yet. But definitely because I never went on a date with them, and so the relationships ended. So we were bonded based on our trauma to see ourselves, to see our wounds, and this is how it works. And we have mirror neurons for it to work physiologically. That's how we mirror. Like I was mirroring my parents. My parents didn't know how to process their emotions. So I was mirroring them. Okay, I don't know. They don't know. I don't know. And that's one way I learn. Other way I learn is by the universe showing me myself. Like if I see selfishness in someone else, I also have selfishness in me, or I wouldn't recognize it in the other person. The whole reason I see the selfishness is to, okay, maybe that person's selfish, so I need to have a healthier boundary, but also to ask myself, how am I being selfish? So
now that's some real self accountability there. That's not something that a lot of people like to take nowadays. Self accountability.
Well, that's one reason. I'm kind of gnarly like that, and I attracted gnarly men into my life, because to show me myself. Like, why did I attract Andrew Tate into my life? Through a personal relationship with his best friend, Justin Waller. This is a question I've asked myself so many times, and there's so many answers. I can't get into it now, but one reason is to see my capacity as a healer. Like I came into Justin's life in June of 2022. In August is when Andrew's takedown started, and then he was subsequently thrown in solitary confinement. So it was, my soul has a plan. Let me show up here. Take me a couple months to open Justin's heart. Oh, and then Andrew's going to I didn't know all this, right? But my soul does. And then Andrew's going to get canceled, and then I'll need to help Andrew. But then I can have an opportunity to see what I can do and see who I can help. And I never got paid for anything that I've done. Like I haven't been paid by any of these men. And then, I helped Andrew in solitary confinement. So
really? Wow.
Yeah, well, I could talk to souls. So so the 2022 Nobel Peace Prize was on quantum entanglements. And that's how our souls or other pieces of energy can connect with another piece of energy anywhere in the universe and instantaneously have an impact. So this is how our souls are connected through our heart space. Whether like you and I, we're connected right now. Our souls are connected. We feel each other. That's how, through a quantum entanglement. But now we have the science to explain the spirituality. Now is the time for healing. So, but anyway, so the fire captain, the second of the 2 firefighters, his soul taught me that a man will open his heart to a woman when her love is stronger than his brute. I'm like, oh, well, let me apply that analogy to me and Andrew. Okay. So my capacity for love and compassion as a healer is greater than Andrew Tate, 4-time UFC world champion, capacity for brute strength as a fighter. I'm like, oh, I can help some people, And that's like one of the things, like another time his soul came through. He's like, Kerry, your voice is louder than mine. I'm like, okay, I got to start yelling on a bunch of podcasts for a number of years to even have a chance,
Yeah.
But that was, I needed to hear that to believe in myself, to believe that I could write a book that included Andrew Tate, that I can stand up and say, red pill shaman over here, standing up for monogamy, standing up to all the red pill men over monogamy. I had to believe in myself, and all of our souls, the collective, we're all in this together. We're all doing it together. Aren't like certain, like are with us. No, but the more advanced souls take on the more difficult jobs. Like Andrew's job, very difficult to be Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
To take on all of those wounds, a very traumatic childhood, a super intelligent dad, grandmaster at chess, mom's home alone a lot with 3 kids. It's a lot to take on, but I needed those experiences to see myself, and so that I have the belief to say this is like, okay, one way that Andrew Tate's soul and my soul are working together is to address sexual assault wounds in men and women. And why do we have to address it? Why is addressing at the wound level the actual way to resolve it? Like, sexual assault is one major kind of reason we have, people complain about the patriarchy. And so how can we actually alleviate it? Well, our souls plan our lives based on our wounds so that we have self-improvement. So, and our relationships, our best mirror, we attract in based on our wounds. No wound means no sexual assault. So if you want to address sexual assault, it's not locking people up. It's not, we have to like control society. But if you really want to eradicate it, we need it triggered to the surface. Andrew Tate's excellent at that. We all know that. He triggers everybody, right? Then my book comes along and shows people how to heal from, I had a fear of men, a fear of being sexually assaulted, and shows people how to do the necessary work to alleviate that so that we can have a much more kind of cohesive, less combative society between men and women. Because right now it's gnarly. It's terrible. We're at 20 years from population collapse. More than 50% of men in the Western world just walk away from dating because they don't want to deal with masculine women, which I totally get. I was terrible. I was, I didn't know how to stay in my feminine lane. So I was terrible.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I run a big dating group, about 5,000 people, and we try and do meetups where people meet in person because dating apps don't work anymore. And for eons of time, that's how people met each other in person. And then the other thing is too, if you have a connection when you meet in person. So we hold those, and I've been doing them for about 2 years. I've of course dated all my life, and a lot of stuff you speak to is true. And one of the challenges for men, I'm one of them, in the dating marketplace, is women are so masculine, and we're not attracted to other men or people who act like men. I mean, if we're straight men, we're not attracted to other men. If you're bi or LGBTQ, I'm sure that's your thing. But we're not attracted to other women, and I can literally go on dates, on coffee dates, and I will feel. And I don't think women understand this quite as much as they just can't. And I can't understand the experience of a woman from the inside out either. But I can feel the push against my leadership. It's almost an attack sometimes. And as a leader and a man of man, I'm a tribal leader. Everything I do is a tribal leader. All my life, I've run companies since I was 18. So I'm very used to being the guy, the CEO, the tribal leader. And there's always young men in the tribe who want to come up and challenge the leader to maybe overthrow him, to overthrow the king. It's all that sort of shit that goes on, and Machiavellian stuff. And so as a tribal leader, I can tell when somebody's challenging my leadership to either rise up the meritocracy of our tribe, or they're doing it to maybe overthrow me and being disrespectful, and I'm going to have to take action on it. Otherwise, we'll have chaos. And so I can feel that. And when a man pushes that way on me, if it's disrespectful, if he's doing it in a way to attack me, I have to put that person, down, quote unquote. And either evict them from the tribe or punish them in some way that has a severe penalization to where people can see it and be like, I'm not sticking my head out for that one. Not even, man. I see what happens. He lops off heads. You got to pull the Machiavellian card. But when women do it, it's really off-putting, because you're like, wait, I had this picture of you guys are all puppy dog tails and daffodils and whatever those little poems used to be about women. And you're like, I will literally sit and talk to a woman over a coffee date, and I'll be like, I'm talking to another dude. Like we're just having a dude conversation here. We're two dudes having coffee, and my dick is in the car ready to drive off. There's no traction. That's a joke.
Right.
I use to people.
No, totally. No, totally. Yes. Yes. And so here's my story. All these men led me back to my guy from my childhood, who's the
Really?
former FBI assistant special agent in charge. He's head of global security at a major company. I'm not going to say it. He hasn't given me permission.
Okay.
But, I put him in a lineup with Andrew Tate.
All right.
I take some time. It's cool. It's cool. We're in a relationship. You know what I mean? Our souls have a relationship. I don't need it done today. I'd like to talk to the guy, and he got his current job, which is associated with the internet, and the FBI definitely does internet censorship, 1 month before I reached out to Justin. When I was in China, he was in Hawaii going to school. It's you can see in 2019 when I attempted suicide, he left the FBI and his dad died. Our souls are moving in lockstep. It seems like I was working in lockstep with someone because I came into Andrew Tate's life right before, this whole takedown. So, but, when in high school, when we met, he's ASB president, he varsity letterman, super good looking, rich, affluent family, had it all. And I'm living in an apartment. I should have been, but because of our wounds attract each other. So I was way too much in my masculine, repressing my emotions, didn't know how to be the emotional sender. And he was showing his emotions and his interest in me, and I was saying, no, that's the opposite. So because he's my the top guy, then everybody below else is I'm in control of. So I can be a super, if I can be a counterbalance to these men, I'm really intelligent, I'm really intuitive, I got balls, as a woman, I got to have balls to be able to interact with these kind of men. So, but when I couldn't have one who I think is the natural counterpart to me, then everyone else, I'm in control. And so I'm unhappy. And as a woman, I had to learn, with Justin, I had to learn that I have a need to admire my man. So men need to be admired, and a healthy feminine woman has a need to do the admiring. I have a need to be able to forgive because forgiveness is feminine. Men have a need to be forgiven because men are, if women are source energy, we're creation and we channel the babies and the souls through us. Men are the opposite. They're once removed. So you're out in society, making decisions, doing this, doing that, a lot more opportunity to make a mistake that might need forgiving, right? A woman's at home, taking care of the kids, making food, she's not going to lose all the money and then lose the house, usually, you know what I mean? So it makes sense that forgiveness is feminine. Self-reflection is feminine. But women's job. So in the book, I have this quote, this Cherokee proverb, that a woman's highest calling is to connect a man to his soul so as to unite him with source, which is her energy, or a black hole is source energy, if you know what I mean. And then a man's highest calling is to protect a woman so she can walk the earth unharmed. She's the center and he does the providing and protecting. And that's, that's also an energy thing. That's also the laws of physics of how that works on a healthy, balanced society. But we're not healthy and we're not balanced. I'm, a mother. It used to be if the mother had to come out of the house to handle the problems, back up because mom's coming. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's me right now, standing up to red pill. And it's for their own, because the only way I have a chance to help these men, become a better version of themselves is their heart. I can't, if I'm a man, I go up and I, tell, hey, Andrew, what's up? Yeah. I overhear this, mom in Ventura who can't have kids anymore. I want to tell you what to do. You going to listen? No, he's not going to listen. I had to go be a healthy feminine woman and have them open their hearts to me. And then I was able to make progress with these men because I was bringing out my healthy femininity and making them more grand. So many women want monogamy, but they don't know how to be healthy enough to attract a man healthy enough to get monogamy.
And a lot of times they have so much trauma they have unresolved. They have what you talked about, the childhood trauma. There was a time where I actually discovered this in my 30s, the polarity issue. And I don't know where I got the source data from, but I dated a lot. I power dated in the 90s and early 2000s. And I and that sounds kind of playboyish. I hate that I have to make that discernment, but I would go on a lot of first dates. So I would go to the club and get 4 or 5 numbers, and I was looking for my person. I was looking for my soulmate, and so I would do 4 or 5 dates in a week, which is a bit of a burnout after a while. But they were mostly first dates, and I was, I'd just be like, okay, well, this person doesn't fit. This person doesn't fit. You're meeting people at a club. You don't really know if they're working or not. And you can say the same for dating apps these days, but I would do a lot of dating, and somewhere I figured out in there that the best women that seemed to have the most opportunity for me, and the ones I had relationships with, were the ones that grew up with a father in the home. The father gave her plenty of attention, and he was a masculine father. And I would always notice that the healthy relationships I would have with women, they would always tell me, you're like my father, which would really creep me out, because I'm like, I'm doing things with you, I hope, in the bedroom that your father never did. But but I would kind of get it. I would meet their father, and I would see their masculine stoicism, and I would only date those type of women. Well, that was in my early 30s. Now I'm in my 50s, and those women are married, and they're not coming out of those marriages. And so I understand the polarity of what you're talking about, and in my dating groups, we have the hardest time explaining this to women, that men aren't attracted to their masculine. And a lot of single mothers, feminism has taught this to women. You don't need a man, get divorced, go do your own thing. A lot of women talk each other into doing that. Misery loves company. And so they divorce, and then they're stuck trying to be the masculine and the feminine, because they're single mothers, and they have to be in their masculine. They've got to go out and work, they've got to go out and survive, and they're at their wits' end. It's just killing them, and draining them, and all that sort of stuff. And then a lot of times when they've been in their masculine for so long, they can't find their way out. And as a man, sometimes I can come in and try and go, okay, well, if we could get rid of some of these belief systems, and you could let me lead you, we could help you with this. But the way they've been programmed with belief systems of, well, we can't trust men, whatever sort of analogies they're picking up off of feminism and off of society and off of their girlfriends. I've had plenty of girlfriends that I've had wonderful relationships with, and their committee, I call them, they're girlfriends that are single, that can't get a relationship. They're always at the club every night. They'll always drag them back. I call it the bucket of crabs effect, where anytime one woman gets up and gets happy and gets in a good relationship, the other ones come along and go, oh, that guy's being bad. It's awful. And what's funny is the bucket of crabs is usually the one that calls me after the relationship to go, hey, Chris, I heard you broke up with Janie, my good friend. Hey, you want to go out sometime? And you're like, are you for real? I know what the hell you were saying about me. Anyway, this polarity of feminine and masculine.
This is the thing. Like, it takes a man to call out other men. It takes a woman to call out other women. And that's what we need. We need women
you're right about
calling out other women. That's what we need.
Sorry to interrupt you there.
That's okay.
And you're right about the beauty part, and the soul part, and all that sort of stuff. Men, we live in a very ugly world that we live in. And we do a lot of battle, and we're responsible for everything. We're expendable. And we live with some very hard truths.
Yes.
And when we come home, being in a woman's home where she's nested and she's created beauty and hopefully peace, and it's extraordinary the things that women do with their beauty, painting, design,
and
how they can,
has.
and they can do, and that heals us in a way, and it just gives us a different space to move into, where we can go, okay, this makes all this hell that we just came in bloody from the outdoors with, this makes it worth it. This is the beauty. And men tend to build a pretty cold meritocracy in world. It's hard, but that's the way life in the universe is. But women bring that beauty to it, the softness, the glow. If it wasn't for them, this would be a really ugly, cold ass world.
Well, that's why I say, like, femininity fuels masculinity, and there's no femininity. So I mean, sure, we still have masculinity and there is still femininity, but in general, and this is what's lacking in these relationships, and that it starts with the woman. Like the woman submits and the man decides. Like if a woman's looking at you and then, the woman looks down all cute and coy, then you have an opening. But if she's not being cute and coy, there is no opening. And this is where women don't understand their role. Like, I watch the Whatever podcast, and I'm like, I live right by where Brian shoots that in IV because I went to UCSB, and so many times, he asks women, "What's your role?" Well, I'm beautiful. I sit here. Well, are you more afraid of a man or a bear? Man, I'd run into a bear in the woods. Like the level of crazy is just psychotic. There's and also we're asking women logical questions. Well, we're direct with the mind and we're coy with the heart, and the women are the heart center. And then we're making them be men and asking them, it's like from so many perspectives, we're not treating you as women, but then we want you to be healthy, feminine women. But we're not going to teach it to you, and your mom can't model it, So this is where we're at, is like, I hope we're finally at a time where, we have the Trump presidency and we're, over the woke hurdle. Cause if trans kids is an Armageddon, I don't know what is. Like from a mom's perspective, like you want to cut off my kid's genitals, like that's Armageddon right there. So I hope that we're at a time people are more open, that we have all this knowledge. Like I remember one time I was, on Instagram, and I made something about traditional values. Get with the times. I'm like, well, hormones don't get with the times, and we got a hormone crisis. Men are low in testosterone. Women are low in their hormones because women are acting like men are acting like women. The birth control pill is destroying the woman's hormones and suppressing ovulation, and men build testosterone through ovulation, just like one example. So we're destroying ourselves from the outside in and wondering what's the problem. The problem here is that change is an inside job. So it's always like, you want to change the world, you got to change yourself. And our hearts, the electromagnetic field is 5,000 times stronger around our hearts than our brains. So with my open heart, when I come into someone's energy, I naturally help them open their heart, and then they naturally open. So the fact that I'm a healer's healer, I'm here to heal other healers. So when I can help a person like Andrew Tate or Justin Waller or Fire Academy instructors, heal their hearts, then when they talk, it comes from a more balanced place.
Yeah. I talk to a lot of women and give counsel to women about this polarity issue between them being masculine and feminine. And a lot of them are so deeply lost. And this is the intent of third wave feminism, was to destroy womanhood. And one of the things that I find ironic about feminism is, and it had some great ideas during the Pan Am era of the 70s, and making it so that women could work longer jobs and have rights and yada, yada, yada. But it's, if you study a lot of the most recent ones, their interest was to tear down the family, to destroy womanhood, to destroy motherhood. They're like, some of them very famously said, women need to stop having children. And I'm like, and I remember hearing that. And just go work. And I'm like, this isn't feminism. This is masculinism. You're not celebrating the feminine. We're not making the feminine greater, and then you see people say, well, there's no power. There's only power in masculine. No, there's incredible power with feminism, or femininity, I should say. My grandmother was the greatest example and blueprint for me of a grand feminine matriarch woman. I watched her not only be my pseudo mother, and my grandfather too, because I could see the alpha masculine and her feminine, but she was a revered, respected, loved, a matriarch for her family. She would make you anything with love, she was just the embodiment of just love, caring, kindness, understanding, listen, just every feminine aspect you can do. And she was great. You didn't screw with her. You didn't screw with grandma. And because she could, she had a little mom temper to her, but usually with love. But you didn't want to. You just respected her so much. And that was power. She would hold court over the giant dinners we had, and it was respectable. I mean, she wasn't out chasing dick at
Right.
60 years
Right.
old or 55 years old.
How
She
gross
was,
is that? Like,
it's
you know,
really gross,
lazy
actually.
women create lazy men.
Yeah.
And this is for women to take account. Where are all the good men? Well, there's no good women because the energy starts with the woman. And we're not teaching women how to be healthy, feminine women because we created workers. That's what they wanted. They created workers, and then we have women standing up for destroying that. Well, the only way we can liberate women is to destroy the family. That's in the NOW Charter, the National Organization of Women. It's in the charter to destroy the
Was
family.
it really?
As well, it's in there to destroy the nuclear family, and the nuclear family is the bedrock of a stable society, and every hedonistic society has failed. And so, here I am, one woman, one mother, one matriarch, right, standing up to red pill and saying polygamy, it doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve me. And you guys are leading and you're hurting women. Like, I called out the fire captain's oath of office because I wrote an email to the dean of public safety because I ain't fucking having it. He's better than that. He's married, was chasing me and another 30-year-old woman, and he's almost 60, but he's 6'7" and hot. Like, he fucking, like, yes. Like, yes. If you want to say, if it were like allowed, oh yeah, that man, yeah, he deserves it. Like, his accomplishments, he oversees the Wildland Cadet Program in Southern California. He's 6'7" and, fire captain out of East LA. Like, the man has seen shit, right? Has been through, saved lives. So if anyone deserves multiple women, it would be someone like that. But that doesn't serve him. It is not what's best for him. And so what I came to understand is, like, in standing up to Red Pill, but I'm part of Red Pill. I call myself Red Pill Shaman.
Yeah.
And they kind of deny spirituality, and that's their lack of femininity, lack of healthy femininity. And they're very busy being right. So they, aren't self-reflecting on that. But then here I come along, the femininity, to show them the part that they're missing. So on the same day, the Fresh and Fit podcast is like the red hot center of Red Pill on YouTube, like Andrew Tate on there, Justin Wall, like all the guys are on Fresh and Fit. And they were demonetized in 2023. That morning, I was talking to the universe while meditating, asking, okay, how can one man with multiple women create a healthy nuclear family, which is the bedrock of a stable society? And the universe says, monogamy is the path to enlightenment. So then I downloaded that, and then I sent it to Andrew Soul, who then sent it to Justin Soul. And then I'm watching YouTube a couple of hours later, and Fresh and Fit's demonetized because they're not in alignment with the energy. Now, I didn't decide that monogamy is higher vibrating, more love, compassion, nurturing. Like, you can turn more wounds into wisdom with monogamy because it's just two people. It's just me and you. So we're going to figure this out. You start involving multiple people. Maybe it's her problem or her, you know what I mean? It just becomes, it's a mess. So, but also when I align with the laws of the universe, then I'm just naturally more influential, more powerful. And because polygamy is not in alignment with the laws of the universe, then it falls aside, then it falls away. And every hedonistic society has always failed because it's not for our greatest good. And it doesn't produce kids. You think, oh, more sex, more kids. No, we're at population collapse.
Yeah.
So,
We're a lot of countries are heading that way. I mean, Japan is definitely on that track. China is. Their one-child policy really fucked them hard. And it finally caught up to them. A lot of the European countries, I can't remember the author that we wanted on the show. I can't remember if we got him on the show. I don't think we got him, but he talks about how a lot of these countries are gonna basically disappear. Germany, and the countries, they just don't have this. There's like I can't remember what it was. I think it's a 1.2 ratio, or 1.5 ratio, or 2.1 ratio you have to have in a growth in a society
to sustain.
Yeah,
like
to sustain it.
7.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting. So as we round out the show, are there any offerings you're doing or plan on doing maybe in the future on your website where you're going to maybe counseling or coaching or maybe some other things, another book? What's in the future for you right now?
Well, things are really exciting right now. So I'm working on a film adaptation. I just signed the NDA on one of the major production company, like large enough to handle Andrew Tate. So that's super exciting that I can get my wisdom out. It's an animated film.
Hmm.
And then I'm working on getting traditionally published. I've had some interest from top level literary agents. So, I just published a couple months ago. So I'm just, that's what I'm spending my time on. But if someone has questions, feel free to reach out. I can do a session, but I'm not like taking on clients right now. But if you want to heal, read the book. And if you got a lot of healing to do, I'm not encouraging you to break the law, because see a therapist if you need to, but psilocybin, magic mushrooms, lay in your bed and cry. Play some shamanic drumming, lay in your bed and cry. I also, on my YouTube channel, I have a meditation video for like 15 minutes. So to help you ground into your body and open your heart. And then there'll be a great time to journal or go for a walk in nature, self-reflect. And the more you flex that muscle of using your intuition to see inside yourself, the more it will work.
Ah, well, there you go. So people can follow your YouTube channel and see some of the updates. You probably do you post once a week or fairly frequently over there?
So I've just the fall was gnarly. I experienced enlightenment probably between like 7 and 10 times. So I'm still like healing from that. So I'm not posting regularly. Like the thing that I'm working on is getting my trailer developed so we can get the movie going. So that'll go up my YouTube channel, but I haven't. It's just me. So I don't have a team yet. I'm just kind of, getting things going.
There you go. There you go. Well, this has been really insightful, Kerry. And yeah, I'm a real big believer that, we're really lost as a society. I see it in hookup culture right now. You talk about hedonism and hookup culture. I was really surprised in delving into dating over the last 2 years and holding events and doing things, how it's really become the market. And from the data I've collected from my own thing and some other people online, about 88% of men have checked out of dating. And it's really bad in the Gen Z. Like the Gen Z men that are in my gaming communities, they're not interested. They're out living their best life. This loneliness epidemic thing is kind of bullshit, because men aren't sitting around being lonely. There might be some that are in their feminine that are appealing about themselves, but no, they're out buying multiple cars and racing cars and video games and doing all sorts of stuff. They're having a blast. I kind of I look at the 20-year-old Gen Zers right now. I'm like, geez, you guys are having as much fun as I was having when I was in my 20s. And they're living a different life, but they're having a good time. They're not sitting around crying about being lonely. They kind of see what women are up to, especially with the hot girl summer and just to hear women to this day still say, I'm in my hoe phase, that just makes my hair rise on my arms. I'm like, what? Yeah, and in their 20s. So I mean, you got your whole life to have fun and do whatever you want. I mean, you don't want to. It's like eating the dessert at the beginning of the fine dining meal of 7 flights or something, Anyway, take your time, pace yourself, folks. It's long, but it's short. So, Kerry, thank you very much for coming on the show. Give us your final pitch out to people to order up the book and get to know you better online.
Oh, I appreciate the book is on Amazon, My Inner Heroine, Exploring Feminine Pain. For $2.99, you can learn how to heal your trauma. You can access my free video on YouTube, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions on kerryblaser.com. My email is on there, and there's a form you can fill out to email me as well.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for coming to the show, Kerry. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks to my audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.